Hello, I'm Gary Lyon and welcome to Access All Areas. The whole footy world is talking about the Blues' Damien Barrett. This time last week we were saying it couldn't get much worse for the Carlton Footy Club. Well, after Saturday afternoon, the focus has been ramped up because they've plunged even lower after their loss to the Demons.
Well, Gaz, they went into that Melbourne game on the verge of being in crisis, and they are clearly in that now. And don't be under any illusions. That is the word that they are now operating under. Greg Swan, we told you this time last week, was under pressure. He's under enormous pressure now. There's agitation for him to step down immediately. Stephen Kernahan, we know, had already earmarked June as being his goodbye date. There is going to be pressure for that to happen even sooner. And as we know, on field, which is where this problem is now emanating from, is the real issue. And when you are in a club in crisis, there's one thing you need to do, and that is to send out a publicly consistent message, and which is why we're going to show you these two grabs. First from Andrew McKay, the head of football, and then Mick Malthouse, the coach of the club. This is not constant mixed messaging.
We've obviously had a myriad of meetings this week with various groups around the place. Coaches had a meeting with the leaders a couple of days ago and said, look, is everyone on board with this game style? Go away, get feedback from the group. And they were 100%, this is the right way for us to go.
I haven't had a meeting with them.
Yeah.
No, not at all. My meetings with the players are about the strategies which have just concluded. So that meeting happened today. So I don't know where that rot's come from.
Carlton win, you might get away with that, Damo, but the coach is calling the comments made by the footy manager rot. It was tried to be explained off yesterday on radio as a small issue. It was on their own website. They controlled that. They put it out there.
Yeah, they did.
That's an issue. On field, you could go attack it 100 different ways. I was there at the game. When you're under pressure, under enormous pressure, you start to second guess yourself and you stop playing the game. Now, this is the area I wanted to focus on. Melbourne were a side who hadn't won a game. They're nervous with the footy in their hands. No tackle pressure at all in their forward half. Thomas, who didn't play there a lot, but Everett and Henderson spent a long time up there. They got one tackle between the three of them.
Yep.
The other end of the ground, Rowan Bale, the small forward, had 10. And then your two big men where you want to see some examples set. Jake the Snake Spencer laid 5. Robbie Warnock had no physical presence at all. You forget to play the game in front of you. You start worrying about the ramifications.
Do you reckon that's what happened? They had that as the backdrop of their
I've got no doubt
thoughts.
about that. And that's a leadership issue as well. It's hey, let's play in the moment. Let's not worry about who's going to write the headline and what's going to happen at the press conference. Melbourne are a team vulnerable. Let's put them under enormous pressure, and they did not at all. And that's taking nothing away from the Demons.
Look, I want to show you an incident, Gaz. Bryce Gibbs, who is supposedly a leader of this footy club, late in the game, you can see the score. Something needs to be done by way of leadership here, and he kicks this as though he's walking off the track at training.
I saw it. It looked like it was the end of training, and let's see if I can curl one round the corner. It didn't look good. It wasn't a great look. It was a lack of care, 18 points down. They needed to go back, measure it. I mean, that's a goal to be kicked by one of your leaders that can perhaps set about 12 points down with 13 minutes of footy left. You're still very much in the game.
OK, an extraordinary result for Melbourne Footy Club, an extraordinary result for where they're at. Who drove it for the Demons?
Thought Paul Roos was the best player on the ground. I know that's a strange thing to say, but he put this in place. I don't know whether a young coach in his first year would have had the courage to do what he's done in the past couple of weeks, and that is to throw Frawley forward, to throw Howe back, to throw Dunn back forward, Dawes straight back into the side. He dropped Tringove, he dropped Toumpas, and he elected to take his best ball winner, his best midfielder in Nathan Jones, and say, you go and run with Mark Murphy and play on him, regardless of where Murphy takes you. Jones spent time playing on full back on Mark Murphy. Such was his dominance.
Could that have gone against him, though, Gaz? I know we're looking at it now as a genius stroke.
It's all in the result, Damo.
Yeah.
And look, what it does, it sends an unbelievable message to your teammates. I am about team, not about individual. They both had 3 inside 50s.
Yep.
He had 6 rebound 50s, Nathan Jones. He was unbelievable, and I thought it was one of the best games he's played.
Strange as this sounds right now, Nathan Jones is actually the type of player Carlton needs.
Well, you could throw the challenge to Mark Murphy next week against the Bulldogs and say, righto, you've had a taste of it, now you go and do the same. You go and play the same manner against a Griffin or someone of that ilk.
Hey, you touched on Frawley being moved in recent weeks from the back line to the forward line. He just moved like a natural forward on the weekend.
He did, and look, Melbourne under criticism for the first few weeks of the year, the way they played. Oh, they go sideways, they go backwards. Well, they had no target to go forward to. On the weekend, they had Frawley playing forward, took 14 marks, 13 uncontested, and they had Lyndon Dunn playing forward. They had 25 marks taken between them. When you can get that sort of forward presence, then you're happy to go
There's
forward.
a big figure on his head already.
Yep.
Is it actually increasing if he's able to produce that for the remaining 18 weeks?
Of course it does. I mean,
So it's already 800,000 a year that he's put on his head.
I would argue that he's worth around the 500, and that might get him to 550. So he's got work to do. I know to get him out of a club is another issue, but hopefully he stays from a Melbourne point of view. Hey, there's two clubs sitting in at the moment, just two CEOs, two coaches sitting in their office going, thank God for Carlton. That is the Richmond coach and the Brisbane Lions coach.
It is, and look, it's actually an indictment that one of those clubs, the Brisbane Lions, actually is happy that's the case. This club, Gary, is 80 kilometres away from where the new golden child of the AFL is, the Gold Coast Suns. They are a mess. 0-4 percentage, and people talk about percentage sometimes being the biggest barometer as opposed to win-loss. It's down to 50% or thereabouts. They are in a world of hurt. Key players are going to miss through suspension or injury now. And Jonathan Brown, the man who once stood for everything that was about that footy club, he's finished, Gaz.
Well, that is a very big call. I mean, I'm prepared to give big champions like that an extra few weeks, more than 3 or 4. They play Richmond on Thursday night. The Tigers go up there. I mean, what a godsend for them to be able to travel up there. No Rich, no Leuenberger, Hanley out with a hamstring. I mean,
it's a godsend that they're playing the Lions.
Well, it's a godsend, of course it is.
We thought last week Carlton playing Melbourne was going to be the win they needed.
That's exactly what we did think.
So are you locking that win in?
That's your best point you've made on access all areas this year. I am locking in the win. Hey, Aaron Sandlands, Lee Matthews said he's the most overrated footballer in the competition. Oh, he got angry, Big Sandy.
Look who he took on, Gas.
Took on a couple of the big bodies. No, to be fair, he was throwing his weight around. He did it right from the word go. He was a bit crude here on Collier. I've got another one here where he went...
A bit crude, he nearly maimed him.
Well, I wonder whether they'll look at that. But clearly he played with more physical intent than I've seen him before. So
do you reckon Lee Matthews
I don't know whether
quotes about him being overrated?
No, I doubt it. No. I think on the back of their performance last week, I think Ross Lyon asked for a much more physical effort from his whole team and probably looked at his big man and said, why don't you start it off for us?
Not too many topics I try and lecture you on about football, Gaz, but Scott Thompson, you need to be aware, this man is an elite talent. And he did so against Buddy Franklin at the SCG yesterday.
Paul Roos, great big tick, big cross for John Longmire. I mean, he left... I know Scott Thompson's a terrific player. North Melbourne were magnificent, let's get that straight. But he left Scotty Thompson essentially on his own. He had 10 possessions in the first quarter. He had 15 possessions by half-time. He ended up with 24 for the game. This is your full-back. He went at 92% disposal efficiency. He got no pressure put on him.
He's All-Australian again already.
Well, he's on that way. But look, they went with Franklin, Roberts Thompson, Derricks and Pike in a hurricane up there. When the other side, they dropped Curry out. I mean, they got it wrong at the selection table. They got it wrong with the way they structured it.
You praised Paul Roos for being best on ground against Carlton. It was John Longmire worst on ground against North Melbourne.
Clear your ears out, I just said that.
Worst on ground.
Weren't you listening?
I may have not been listening.
He didn't get it off. For mine, he didn't get it right. But what I loved about the North Melbourne Footy Club, after round 1, the big heat came on them and they responded in the manner that Richmond haven't been able to and certainly Carlton haven't been able to. So that is a great tick for Brad Scott, a great tick for his footy club.
Conditions weren't good at the SCG, but they were actually worse, Gaz, at Canberra. This here with the sand, this is not fit.
Look at that.
For an AFL game.
Now, I know we can have a little joke, but Damo, talk me through this scenario. The phone goes, bring, you're Mark Evans, I'm the ground manager.
Yep.
I look at this the day before, I ring you up and say, Mark, my duty is to see if this is fit for footy. I'm telling you it's not. So where are we going to play the game?
I want you to have a look at the ground, please, ground manager.
All right, I go back out, I come back, I say, we can't play on that ground because it's not fit. Where are we going to play the game?
No, we're going to plan C, and that is to play that game at that ground. And the point I'm making is that there is no contingency ever in place for an AFL game to be moved.
Why do ground inspections?
Because that's what they do.
Well, it's a farce, Damo. I know this might be our last access all areas. Ground inspections are a farce.
They may as well not have them because the game is going to be played with the AFL says it's going to be played far back as October the previous year. It's wrong, Gaz, and I know players and people from both clubs are furious about this situation. GWS is not going to be saying anything about this because they're trying to foster a relationship with the people in Canberra and that particular stadium, and good on them. They're not going to say anything. The Bulldogs are not worried about that as much, but they're not going to be saying too much either. They've got the result.
Said he was surprised.
I think I'm paraphrasing. If he was to be really honest, and other people I've spoken to at that footy club, to be really honest, it's a disgrace.
In the competition, the most balanced player ever to play the game, runs down and falls over because his foot dives into a sand pit.
Yeah. Gaz, this happens all the time. It happens at the Homebush Stadium in Sydney. We talk about it after the event. It won't happen again. It always does.
Get the car going. We're running straight out of here. Hey, Rory Sloane, we love this man, the Upway Tacoma flyer. This is him after the game getting selfies taken with his mates.
His mad mates.
Mad mates is his nickname. They come down from the hills They come down only for once or twice a week, so he thought he'd get it on, get a photo of it to remind it. We love his
stuff.
Hey, Damo, it's good, it's controversial, get out of this joint. Well, thank you very much. Now, listen, we're going to catch you next Tuesday because of the Easter Monday game between the Cats and the Hawks, so keep an eye out. For Access All Areas on the Tuesday, thanks for joining us. Goodbye.